Imagine for a second that China just quits. Imagine Beijing woke up tomorrow and said, you know what? We are too rich to make your t-shirts, your plastic toys, and your sneakers. We don't want to be the world's factory anymore. Someone else can have that gig. What would that world look like? Suddenly, the factories in Shenzhen shut down and reopen in Lagos. The Made in China sticker on your phone changes to Made in Ethiopia. And the 300 million jobs that built the Chinese economic miracle migrate to the only other place on earth with enough young people to fill them: Africa. It sounds like a sci-fi movie, right? Like I'm making things up, a total fantasy. Except it is not. There is actually a blueprint that outlines exactly how this swap is going to happen. It's called Vision 2035. And if you think China is building ports across Africa just to be nice, you are missing the biggest economic shift of our lifetime. Today, we're asking the big question: is Africa about to become the new China? And if so, are we ready for the price tag? You see, that scenario I just described, it's already happening. While everyone is arguing about debt traps, I went digging into the archives of the FOCAC and I found the roadmap. China is preparing to outsource their 1990s economy to us. So let's break this down. How exactly is this factory swap going to work? First, you have to understand why the job is open. For 30 years, China was the world's factory because labor was cheap. But today, a factory worker in Guangdong wants more than $1,000 a month. They also want to code AI, they want to build electric cars and design spaceships. They don't want to sew zippers onto jeans anymore. Economists call this the flying geese model. When the lead goose, in this case China, moves up to the high-tech area, it sheds its low-tech feathers, which is in this case manufacturing, to the geese flying behind it. Vietnam and Bangladesh took some of those feathers, but these countries are too small to take them all. Enter Vision 2035. The plan explicitly talks about moving industrial capacity to Africa. Why? Because by 2035, Africa will have the largest workforce in human history. We are the only ones with enough hands to run the machines. So the factories you see popping up in Ethiopia's industrial parks or the Lekki Free Trade Zone, those aren't just random projects. That is China clearing out its garage so it can move into the penthouse. But here is a curiosity check. If China wants us to make their stuff, how are they going to pay us? This is where the green lane comes in. In 2021, Xi Jinping promised to buy $300 billion worth of African goods. But in late 2025, they went even further. China just activated a zero-tariff policy for 33 African countries. This is a game changer. For decades, ships came to Africa full and left empty. Now China is saying, we are hungry. We will take your sesame, your avocados, and your processed goods, and we won't charge you a dime in tax. Think about it. If you're a shoemaker in Aba or a coffee grower in Rwanda, you aren't just selling to your local market anymore. You are plugging into a supply chain that feeds 1.4 billion people tax-free. This is the manufacturing gig that lifted millions of Chinese people out of poverty. Now, they are just handing the keys over to us, or so it seems. But, and there is always a but on this channel, what happens when your boss is also your landlord? Here is the scary part of this what-if scenario. If Africa becomes the new China, who owns the factories? Who owns the digital rails the money moves on? Vision 2035 talks heavily about digital cooperation. They want us to use Chinese standards for 5G, like with Huawei, for GPS, like with Beidou, and for payments. If you're in Nigeria, you already use OPay. If we replace China as the factory, but we run on China's software, Are we really industrializing, or are we just becoming a digital colony? Imagine a future where a factory in Lagos makes phones for the world, but the blueprints, the profits, and all the data all flow back to Beijing. We get the jobs, but they keep the power. That is the risk of the swap. So let us go back to the question, what if Africa replaced China? Granted, it is the biggest opportunity in 100 years. We have the people, we have the resources, and now we have the roadmap. But a roadmap is useless if you don't know how to drive. China used the West to build their economy, and then they kicked down the ladder and became a superpower. The challenge for our generation, for the Vision 2035 generation, is to do the exact same thing to them, some will argue. Take the factories, take the zero tariff deal, but don't give up the keys to the house. And personally, I don't even think that is possible. But then again, that is just me. If you think that we can actually pull this off, let me know. If you have any thoughts, I would love to hear from you. My name is Chika, and on this channel, I talk about stories like this. So if this is the sort of thing that interests you, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out other videos on this channel as well.